Right, let's talk about something properly impressive. Not some flimsy little drone your neighbor uses to spy on your sunbathing habits. No, I mean a proper thumping great piece of engineering. The CH-47 Chinook. You hear one of these coming long before you see it. It's that distinctive rhythmic whump 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 that tells you something substantial is on its way. This isn't just a helicopter, it's a flying testament to the idea that if you have enough power, you can make pretty much anything fly. And fly it does, carrying an astonishing amount of stuff, or people, or both, to places other machines can only dream of reaching. It's a workhorse, plain and simple, but a magnificent one at that. The Chinook is, to put it mildly, iconic. Its shape is instantly recognizable. You've got those two massive sets of rotor blades, one at the front, one at the back, spinning in opposite directions like a pair of angry giants having a disagreement. This isn't just for show, though it does look rather purposeful. It means the Chinook doesn't need one of those silly little tail rotors that other, lesser helicopters use to stop themselves spinning around like a confused ballerina. No, the Chinook channels all its grunt into lifting and going forwards. It's a design born out of necessity, a solution to the problem of how to lift very heavy things without needing a runway the length of Yorkshire. Now you might be wondering what on earth you'd use such a contraption for. Well, it's not for popping down to the shops for a pint of milk, unless your local shop is on top of a mountain and you need to deliver a new fridge to the landlord. Its job is to move serious cargo. We're talking about Media Group, Chinook helicopter carrying artillery, Chinook helicopter sling loading, Humvee at stock at distribute _ equally, artillery pieces, small vehicles, containers full of supplies, or a platoon of heavily armed soldiers who need to be somewhere else, quickly. It's the heavy-duty removal van of the skies, the articulated lorry of the rotary world, and it does its job with a rugged determination that you just have to admire. For decades, this machine has been hauling, lifting, and rescuing. It's served in countless conflicts and come to the aid of communities battered by natural disasters. It's a symbol of power, of course, but also of help arriving when it's most needed. The fact that a design conceived in the late 1950s is still not only in service, but is continually being upgraded tells you everything you need to know about its fundamental brilliance. They simply got it right, and then they kept on making it righter. It's a bit like a Land Rover Defender, only airborne and significantly louder, which is saying something. The story of the Chinook doesn't begin with a mad inventor sketching on a napkin in a pub. Oh no, this was a far more sensible affair, driven by the ever-practical needs of the United States Army back in the late 1950s. They looked at their existing helicopters, which were fine for pottering about, but they wanted something more. Something that could lift an entire artillery crew and their gun, or a decent chunk of supplies, right onto the battlefield. They needed a proper sky crane, a battlefield taxi with serious muscle. So they put out a call, and the engineers at Vertol, which later became part of Boeing, pricked up their ears. Vertol had been fiddling about with tandem rotor designs for a while, so they had a bit of a head start. The predecessor, the CH-46 Sea Knight, was a good machine, but the Army wanted bigger, better, and more powerful. The challenge was to create a helicopter that could operate in hot climates and at high altitudes, where the air gets thin and lift becomes a bit of a problem. They needed something that wouldn't just give up and sulk when the going got tough. The result of all this head-scratching and slide rule action was the YHC-1 Bravo, which first wobbled into the sky in 1961. It was a promising start. After a bit more tinkering and testing, the first production model, the CH-47 Alpha Chinook, officially entered service with the U.S. Army in 1962. And almost immediately, it was thrown into the thick of it in places like Vietnam. Suddenly, commanders had a new toy, a very big toy, that could leapfrog impassable jungle terrain, resupply isolated outposts, and evacuate casualties with a speed and capacity that was previously unimaginable. It wasn't just an improvement, it was a revolution in how armies could move and support themselves. The ability to sling-load bulky equipment beneath the fuselage was a game-changer. Of course, like any new bit of kit, especially one as ambitious as the Chinook, there were teething troubles. Early models had their quirks, and engineers were kept busy refining the engines, the transmissions, and the rotor systems. But the basic design was so sound, so fundamentally capable, that it proved to be an incredibly adaptable platform. Over the years, it's been stretched, given more powerful engines fitted with sophisticated electronics, and generally beefed up to meet ever-increasing demands. It's a testament to that initial vision: build it strong, build it capable, and it will endure. And endure it has. So what's the secret sauce? What makes the Chinook so special, apart from its ability to deafen everyone within a 3-mile radius? Well, a huge part of it is those tandem rotors we mentioned earlier. 2 sets of 3 massive blades, each around 60 feet in diameter, spinning in opposite directions. This counter-rotation is a bit of genius because it cancels out torque. You see, with a single main rotor, a helicopter naturally wants to spin the other way. That's why most of them have that tail rotor, pushing sideways to keep them straight. The Chinook says, "Forget that, I'll just have another massive rotor at the back doing the same job, but better." This twin rotor setup means all the engine power can be dedicated to lift and thrust, rather than wasting some of it on just staying pointed in the right direction. And speaking of power, the Chinook is not shy. Modern versions are typically equipped with 2 Lycoming, now Honeywell, T55 turboshaft engines, each kicking out thousands of horsepower. Think of the grunt in a supercar, then multiply it several times, and imagine it trying to lift a small house. That's the sort of oomph we're dealing with here. This power, combined with the efficient rotor system, gives the Chinook its legendary heavy lift capability, allowing it to carry internal or external loads of over 10 tons. Then there's the cargo hold. It's not just a space, it's a cavern. Roughly 30 feet long, 7.5 feet wide, and 6.5 feet high. You can drive a Humvee straight up the rear loading ramp and into the belly of this beast. Or you can pack it with up to 55 combat-equipped troops, though it might be a bit snug. This ramp is a key feature, allowing for rapid loading and unloading of cargo, vehicles, and personnel. Imagine trying to get an artillery piece out of a side door. No, you want a big welcoming ramp at the back, and the Chinook delivers, quite literally. But it's not just about brute strength and size. The Chinook is surprisingly agile for such a big machine. Its tandem rotors allow for precise handling and the ability to make steep approaches and departures, which is jolly useful when you're trying to land in a confined area, perhaps on a mountainside or in a small clearing in a forest. It can also perform a rather neat trick called a pinnacle landing, where it touches down with just its rear wheels on a ledge or an edge, while the rest of the aircraft hovers. Try that in your Cessna. It's this combination of brawn and surprising finesse that makes it so incredibly versatile. The military, as you might expect, absolutely loves the Chinook. It's their go-to machine for a bewildering array of tasks. Troop transport is a big one, moving soldiers into and out of hostile areas. Then there's logistical support, shifting ammunition, fuel, food, and water to keep the pointy end of the spear sharp. It's also indispensable for inserting and extracting special forces teams, often under the cover of darkness, relying on its advanced avionics and the skill of its pilots. And when things go wrong, it's the Chinook that often arrives to evacuate the wounded, a flying ambulance with an enormous capacity for care and comfort. Well, maybe not comfort, but definitely capacity. But it's not just the men and women in uniform who benefit from this magnificent machine. In the civilian world, the Chinook is a hero too. When earthquakes strike or floods devastate entire regions, these helicopters are often among the first on the scene, delivering emergency supplies, rescuing stranded people, and transporting medical teams. They can carry massive water buckets, known as Bambi buckets, to fight wildfires, dumping thousands of gallons of water with pinpoint accuracy. In construction, particularly in remote or difficult-to-access areas, Chinooks are used to lift heavy equipment, pylons, or even sections of bridges into place. It's a flying crane of immense utility. Think about some of the most challenging operations and daring rescues over the past half-century. From the battlefields of Vietnam and Afghanistan, to the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, or devastating earthquakes in remote corners of the globe, the Chinook has been there. Its distinctive thrum has become a sound of hope for those in peril and a symbol of relentless capability for those who operate it. It has ferried presidents, supported scientific expeditions in Antarctica, and generally made the impossible possible on more occasions than one could count. Its service record is, quite simply, extraordinary, a testament to its enduring design and the courage of its crews. So why, in an age of stealth fighters and sophisticated drones, does this veteran of the skies continue to soldier on? The answer is remarkably simple, because nothing else can do what the Chinook does quite as well, or as reliably, or as cost-effectively when you consider its capabilities. It's been upgraded, modernized, and given new leases of life time and time again. New variants are still being developed, ensuring it will be around for many more years to come. It's a triumph of engineering, a rugged, dependable, and astonishingly capable machine. The CH-47 Chinook isn't just a helicopter, it's a legend. And it's a noisy, brilliant, magnificent legend at that.